Good morning, everyone. Happy Saturday. Welcome to Saturday Shares. I apologize, I am not in my normal or regular sharing space. We got my son's hockey schedule after I planned this, so I'm actually at the rink, but we're still good for sharing. Let me see if I can get my guest on here. Make sure you guys can hear me. We'll just wait for her to connect. Yay! Hello!
Hi, good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
Good, how are you?
Well, sorry, I'm trying to adjust my camera, make sure the hockey rink.
Yeah, no, I'm trying to figure out, is my lighting good? Am I too close? All the things, you know?
Oh, it's so good to see you. It's been so long.
I know, it has. This whole summer, like with the move and all that stuff, has just been a whirlwind. Like, it was a disaster.
Was?
Yes.
Not what I want to hear. I was just
No. We're super excited and we're getting settled finally, but like the move was ridiculous. The movers were awful, all that kind of stuff. They damaged so much. Even like the walls in our brand new house, they damaged that and everything too. So it was just ridiculous. Yeah, so we're finally settled though. The boys love school. I'm subbing right now, so that's working out really well.
Oh, good. Okay, so So everybody, I wanted to introduce you to my friend Anna. We met a couple years ago. Boys played soccer together and randomly got into a conversation and realized we are part of the same club. So Anna, basically, this is an opportunity for you to share your story. It's up to you what you share. I will ask questions as we go along, but if anything is feeling uncomfortable or just doesn't feel right, we absolutely can change the subject.
Okay.
Start from the beginning, a little bit of introduction of who you are, where you're from, and start from the beginning, and we'll see where it takes us.
Okay. So I am originally from Georgia. I have two boys, 8 and 10. And then we moved to Texas, stayed there for 8 years for my husband's job and moved back. So I had Landon when I was about 26, maybe. Yeah, 25, 26. And then we wanted to have our baby super, super close together. So right after Landon turned probably 6-7 months old, we started trying, and it just felt like, negative test after negative test, all that kind of stuff. So then on Mike's birthday in 2013, I got a positive test. And so I was super excited, all that stuff. But, they always tell you, let's wait a little while and all that. So I waited and I went to the doctor, and she was like, you're measuring like 9 weeks, but there's no like heartbeat or anything. So let's do the blood work to see what your HCG levels are.
What it looks like, yeah.
Yeah. So then we did that. They were fine. So she was like, well, let's wait 2 weeks and do it again and come back in. And there was no change, but my HCG levels had just plummeted. So she was like, I don't even know what's going on. She's like, but obviously there's nothing there anymore. So they were actually twins too. And so that was really, really discouraging. So, but anyway, she was like, let's monitor you. She gave me that little pill that you're supposed to take for all the things. And she was like, I've never given this to anybody and it not work. I was like, well, you don't ever say that to me because it's gonna not work. So literally, like, it took 3 weeks. And she was like, if it's any longer, you have to come in and we have to do all the fun stuff that nobody likes to talk about and things like that. But finally it happened, and it was just the most sorry, I don't want to cry. Traumatic thing I've ever been through.
So this pill that you were talking about, is this the pill that makes you completely miss?
Yeah. Because she's like, because they monitored me for like, she had me come in for like 3 weeks just to see, like, if it was just the measurement, the timing, all that stuff was off, just to see. So she gave it like every opportunity, you know, and then it's like, did I do something wrong? Did I mess this up? Or, you know, it's just stress and this and this and this, and then people don't talk about it. And so you feel alone because, sorry, because people don't talk about it, and it drives me crazy now, because it's like I found out more people have dealt with this than you would ever realize. So, and like, so previously with Landon, I didn't know I was pregnant. And when I went in, I thought I was only like 4 or 5 weeks pregnant. I was 12 weeks pregnant when I found out with Landon. Like, I had a normal cycle, all that stuff through the pregnancy. So I was like, okay, well, this one worked, so let's hope this one does too. And it just didn't. And so then when I got pregnant with Lane, he's now 8, I was like, I don't want to tell anybody. Like, I don't want to tell anybody until like week 20, because I don't want to have to be calling people, telling them, hey, you know, it didn't go through. So, but I was really, really lucky, because after the traumatic experience, she told me, she was like, don't get pregnant for like, you know, 6 months or something like that after that, because your body is like in shock. Well, a month later, I got pregnant. Like, literally after all of that, I found out, like, everything was completely finished around like March timeframe, beginning of April, and I found out on Cinco de Mayo that I was pregnant with Lane. So it was like, boom, okay, that was crazy.
Typical, don't do this. Okay, I'm gonna do it, and do it really.
Yeah. Right? So it was just like this massive roller coaster of emotions, because it was like I had Landon, and I didn't want to be super emotional and super like not like, yes, I'm happy with the child I have, but I still want more babies and things like that. So it was like, you would get a negative test. Oh, dang it. You know, you'd get so frustrated, and then you got that positive one, and you're like over the moon, and you want to tell everybody. And then you do, or at least your close family and friends at that point. And then it's like, what is going on? Now I have to call all these people again and tell them that I don't have it anymore.
For all of your pregnancies, did you get pregnant naturally, or did you have to go through any infertility treatments?
So with Landon, I think, yeah, we started the fertility treatments. I would take some kind of hormones and stuff like that. But at one point, I just felt like I just really want to do this without all of this stuff, because I mean, it increased your chances of multiples and things like that. So you're kind of like, oh, am I really ready for all of that? So, but I mean, we did for a little bit, and then we got pregnant pretty quickly with Landon after that. Yeah.
Were the twins natural conception too?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
How long were you when you?
About 9 weeks. Yeah.
Okay. Wow. So you made a comment that nobody talks about this, and I know, I mean, when we have talked, we both got pretty emotional about it. I can see you're still emotional about it. What would you tell people who are going through this right now, who the support or don't feel like they can talk about it? How do you support yourself during a situation like this when you feel so alone?
Yeah, you know, it's like some days are better than others. Like, yeah, it's been 9 years, and I still, you know, some days I can talk about it without shedding a tear, which makes me feel, you know, I feel bad at some points, but then it's like, it just shows that you can be strong, and that eventually the pain will always be there, but you grow, you know. And it's like, it's okay to talk about it. It's okay to be emotional about it. Some people may not understand. My husband doesn't sometimes. He's like, it just wasn't, you know, so he doesn't understand sometimes. So it's like, you find those people, you find that tribe that you have, that you can say, hey, this is what I'm going through. And, you know, even if the person has never been through it, they can still have some sort of empathy, or, you know, just be like, yeah, I understand that that's tough. And then, but look, how is something positive come out of this, and things like that. Just really, it's just weird how it comes up sometimes too, because I actually had a teacher friend that we ended up, this subject came up and she's like, I've never been able to talk to people about this like this. So it's just like, it's almost taboo sometimes for people, or they feel uncomfortable or things like that. But really, it happens a whole lot more than people realize. And so really, I just think having that support system and being able to talk to the people that you can about it and be supportive, just even if you're just a listening ear for them.
Sure. I think that's important. Don't know what to say as long as you can be there and listen.
Yeah.
Support like that, who's flat out, oh, sorry, there's going to be.
It's okay.
Had a support system who said that exact same thing. I don't know what you're going through. I've never gone through it, but I'm a great listener and I'm here, however. And even just saying that is pivotal, I guess I'll say.
Right.
What you touched on, that there's more people going through this than we realize. I was at a hockey tournament this past weekend, and there were a group, and I don't know how we started talking about it. There were 5 of us. All 5 of us have gone through loss. And so we all just sat there and we're like, yeah, right, 1 in 4. Like, we are one of us. It's just not talked about. So I really appreciate you on here and sharing your story, because this is exactly why I wanted to do this platform, so we can talk about it more and we can hopefully normalize so that more people don't have to feel alone. I'm glad you brought up about Mike not understanding, because I know when we were talking, he flat out said to me, I have no idea what she's going through. And husbands as a support, especially in a situation like this, partners, your partner as a support is really important. So with you and Mike being on such opposite pages, how did you guys navigate that?
So he got a little bit more, he's like, I realize that you're upset. He's like, and I don't understand that because it was not in me. Like he was not carrying the baby. So he didn't. And even when I was pregnant and carrying full term and have our kiddos, he didn't really feel that connection until they were there. So I understood his perspective as well. But I also, I sat him down one day after it happened, and I was crying a lot, like all the things, all the emotions, and then I would think about it again and start crying, and he would just be like, I understand you're sad. He's like, so I'm going to give you your time to be sad. I will listen, I will talk, all the things. He's like, but I don't fully understand what you're feeling and what you're going through.
So you guys were able to have that conversation, like, I'm here, but I it, but
right. Right.
That 1 sec, there's a car coming by. This is a terrible space.
It's okay.
I think that's amazing that you guys were able to have that open conversation, even if you're not on the same page, to state that to each other, so that you do still kind of know where each other's coming from, even though you might be here and he might be here. So we had a similar situation like that too, but Uche and I didn't confront each other with it. I saw a medium at one point. Uche gifted me a present to meet with a medium that I thought was going to be a joke, unfortunately, and it wasn't at all. And in that setting, I know this sounds really hokey and whatnot, but it worked for me in the moment. Ashton, our daughter, made a comment like, just so you know, Daddy doesn't get it. He's trying really hard, but he doesn't get it. And so after that session, again, I didn't know if I really believed what was happening, but the medium knew things only Uche and I knew. And it wasn't until that session that I approached Uche and said, hey, like, where are you at? Because this is what was said. And he just flat out was like, I really don't get it. And that we then started a conversation, and he basically said what Mike said, like, I am here with you. I don't feel what you are feeling. And on a regular day, we handle things different anyway, but I'm very impressed that you guys were able to approach that and talk to each other without like an outside force. I think communication is extremely important.
Yeah, because it was a lot, and he's one of those that's like, because when I got the phone call saying my HCG levels were normal, and then the next week I went back, or week or two I went back, and they had dropped, that's a long waiting period for me. And I would just constantly mull over it. And he was like, you can't automatically think that it's just the worst case scenario. He was like, we'll deal with the bridge when we get there. He was more so than that. But I was like, I was trying to prepare myself for the worst news.
Right. And I think that's what can happen with loss. When we go through it, our automatic female mind trying to protect ourselves. I'm not sure, but I was the same way. After a loss, you get pregnant, you don't want to share it, you don't want to get too excited because you want to prepare yourself for the worst again.
Right.
So when you were pregnant with Lane, because he was after twins, were you able to enjoy that pregnancy at all, or was it a constant, oh no, this happened, so was there a constant worry?
For the most, for the first several weeks, I would probably say till I was halfway through my second trimester was, I think once I hit 20 weeks, I started feeling better. But I was like, you never know what's going to happen. So I tried to enjoy it as much as I could. But those first probably 18 to 20 weeks were probably the hardest because I was really just so concerned that I was going to have to go through this process again, and I know that there's different, everybody's loss is different, some people lose really early and it's still emotional. It's still very, very gut wrenching and just tears you apart. And then there's people that lose them, right before and all that kind of thing. So I know that there's a lot of different thoughts, and a lot of people have different thoughts about your stage of loss too, or mine was worse than yours because I was this many weeks type thing. I said, but the feeling and the feeling of loss is the same.
Loss is loss. From all the women and men that I have spoken to up to this point, whether you had a loss at 6 weeks versus a loss at 18, loss is loss. We're all grieving. We're all going through it. And I think when you go through miscarriage, I mean, for me, I can speak, I didn't realize I was grieving. I didn't know that was grief, because when you associate grief, you think of your grandparents passing away.
Right.
You don't think of a miscarriage as a loss. I love that you said that. Loss is loss no matter what, and you go through those emotions. Now, for you, were you told, or did the doctor have insight as to with the twins? Do you feel comfortable sharing that?
They didn't really tell me anything. They were just like, it's nothing that you did and you have to realize that. It's just your body was not ready, or it just wasn't healthy. The whole thing wasn't healthy or whatever. But they were like, you can't blame yourself, even though most women do blame themselves for things that have happened. But they really couldn't give me that much. It's she was like, they just got to that stage of growing and then just stopped. Yeah.
So how do you, I mean, I'm trying to picture myself, whenever I got pregnant, there was a lot between my babies. Totally not how I did it, but so for you, I'm just trying to picture grief process. You just lost twins, and then a month later you're pregnant again. That whole lot of roller coaster flip-flopping.
Yeah.
Go through your emotions and how you were able to manage all of that.
I think I just I would try to focus on Landon, really. Because I mean, he was 1.5 at the time. So, I was like, I need to enjoy what I have right now because he's not going to be this age ever again. So really I know it sounds cliche and silly, but I just tried to focus on him a lot and spend as much quality time with him as I could because it was something that made me happy.
100%. I've often said too, after we lost Justin, it was 2.5. I always say to have him, because we had to, when you have an older child, you have to push through. There's no, if I didn't have him, I don't know where that would go. So I know both of us were fortunate that we had older children when is, this might be a difficult. If you didn't have Landon, how would you work through that? What advice could you give to the couples, to the men, to the women who don't have that older sibling that we have to pick ourselves up to care?
Right. I would just say, find that thing that you love to do or love to focus on, and it's okay to be sad too, because I think a lot of people are like, I do have to pick myself up, I've got to be strong, I've got to do this. But do give yourself that time to fully process everything and fully grieve on it, because your time will come. Something will happen, whether it's, you don't have your own, you adopt or something. Like, you will find your way, you will find your happiness. But I think it's really just focus on being able to be happy and not feel guilty when you're happy, and also focus on, I can be sad. I don't have to justify why I'm sad right now. I can be sad, I can grieve. If I want to spend the day binge watching a show because I don't want to think about anything else, that's totally fine too.
Do whatever you need to do to get.
Yeah.
Have any other tips? Anything you want off your chest? You've given some great here. Just curious if their thoughts, there's stories had before we.
I just think I was just so happy to be able to do this. I know it's been a long time since mine happened, but it's not, I don't want to use the word refreshing, because you're putting a light word on something that's not light. But it's nice to know that there are other people around you that have been through this and that you can talk to, or you find those friends that you have and they're like, I don't totally understand what you're going through, but I can help you in any way. Like, if you just need me to just sit with you or whatever. Like, I just love this opportunity, and that you're doing it with so many people and just putting a little bit of light out on something that most people think is taboo, or they think they did something wrong if they do have a loss.
Well, I'm so happy you agreed to share your story. I know when we were at your house having beverages and this, now both, I don't think we realized we were in the same circle with this.
Right.
It's to be open, and I appreciate your honesty. I just really am so thankful that you are able to share your story. It's going to help so many other women and couples. And just like I was saying, it is important to keep the conversation going. There are more people than we know who are suffering, who are going through this, and there is no reason you need to go through it alone anymore. We are trying to break those taboos. Let's talk about it. Let's share and build our support. And I know that you have moved away, but I'm all here for you, girl.
Yes, same.
So with that, again, thank you so much, Anna, for being on here with us. I really appreciate you and your beautiful family. We'll always be thinking about you and your twins. And I hope you enjoy your Saturday. And if there's anything you want to with, last one.
No, I'm good. Just thank you so much.
Of course. Appreciate you being on here with me today, Anna.
All right. I'll talk to you later.
Saturday. Bye.
Bye.